out 4 times the punishments and sentences when it comes to child abuse, CSAM, and trafficking cases. 4 times. And that is a reflection of our priority here in the state of Florida, in my office, our statewide prosecutors. Priority 1 will always be protecting our most vulnerable, protecting our children. We will stop at nothing to get every last one of these evil people and get them away from our society. I want to thank Special Agent in Charge Eli Lawson, Commissioner Mark Glass at FDLE and their incredible team. They spearheaded the investigative work here, utilizing technology, communication devices, any tool we have, we will use to find these people and put them away. And I want to thank Lee County School Superintendent Dr. Denise Carlin, because the first individual I'm here to announce today, unfortunately, his name's Graham Freeman from Cape Coral, and he was a middle school science teacher in Lee County. I gotta tell you, I don't think we'd even finished getting the words out over the phone before the school district stepped in, snapped into action, and made sure that he was removed and away from any position where he could put kids in danger. Mr. Freeman, I'm told, had massive amounts of CSAM and child pornography, drives and binders and bins, seemingly a hoarder. And this is not light stuff. This is some of the most grotesque sex abuse content of little kids and animals too. 2 of these guys had the sexual bestiality videos and imagery, which shows that there are some people, they're deviants, they're so screwed up that they want the next thing. It starts as imagery, it's children, it's babies, it's then animals, and the correlation is strong that at some point it evolves into actual physical sexual abuse of kids. And that's why we are seeking the longest terms of sentence that we can under Florida law for these cases. There have been several judges in this area in particular that haven't taken child porn cases seriously. They have not pushed for long sentences. They've given out slaps on the wrist, viewing it as a crime that didn't hurt anybody. That is wrong. That is wrong. Let me be clear. Every time one of those videos is played, where young children, even toddlers in some cases, are abused, those children are being victimized again and again and again. And as I've stated, the correlation is high. These sick people, they have itches they want to scratch, and they're always looking for the next fix. So we have got to get them off the streets and away from our little kids. I speak to you today as Attorney General, but really as a dad first. We've got a 6'4", a 2-year-old, and we're expecting our 4th in October. And any parent out there knows, our children are gifts from God. There's nothing greater than the beauty and innocence of a children, and people that want to take that away, they deserve the strongest form of punishment. And in Florida, where there is physical child sex battery, we're the first state to bring back the death penalty for these offenders. And we will have a legal battle going up to the Supreme Court on this, but I think there's some new justices in place now. And again, somebody that could commit such a heinous act on a child is not somebody that can be rehabilitated. That is somebody that deserves the ultimate form of punishment. So Mr. Graham Freeman will be gone for a long time, as long as we can get him behind bars. We also have Mr. Jordan Hall facing 10 counts of CSAM material, including bestiality. We also have from Zephyr Hills, Matthew David Peter, who was talking with somebody that he thought was a minor, soliciting sex, and it turned out to be a cop instead. Big surprise for him. And by the way, with Sheriff Cronister yesterday, he was like, we're not hiding that we're out there undercover. We're not. If we really wanted to catch more, we wouldn't really talk about it. But we go out and talk about it because we want people to cut it out. Every time you think you might be going to sleep with a minor, it could be an officer. But unfortunately, these people do it anyway, again and again. I guess they're not the sharpest tools in the shed, or they wouldn't be doing this in the first place. These cases, they'll be handled by one of our top rock star prosecutors, Agnieszka Thomas. She's tough. She's not handing out lenient plea deals, that's for sure. She's going to bring the heat, and they're going to go away for a long time. So I'll conclude by saying, I hate that we're having these all-time records here in Florida for arrests and prosecutions, but I'm glad we're getting them. We're going to be adding our resources, using more technology, more people. We've got a whole unit focused more so on social media applications. That's a massive problem. Parents at home have heard me saying it. If they haven't, please wake up. A lot of these predators are using Snapchat, TikTok, Instagram, Roblox, Discord's a gaming app I hadn't even heard of. They're using these platforms to communicate with your kids. This is not a white van driving around a neighborhood, looking to kidnap a kid in his yard. That would almost be easier. Sheriff here, his guys will take that down fast. This is happening in the backs of bedrooms, on cell phones, computer screens, adult strangers pretending to be kids, using a dialect. They're so savvy how they do it. They'll spend weeks or months building a relationship, getting people to drop their guard, and young people are dealing with so many insecurities today. And then they start to solicit videos, imagery, personal information. They extort, they threaten, they demand more, and in the worst of cases, they meet up in person, and unfortunately we've seen too many cases of abduction and actual physical abuse in just the last year and a half. So we're at 2,000. I hope by next year we're at 10,000. We won't stop until we get them all and ensure that we are protecting our little ones. So again, I want to thank the school system here. I want to thank FDLE. I want to thank Sheriff Carmine here. If I was a criminal, I think I'd want to be as far away from this county as possible, because he brings the heat. There's nothing he won't do to protect you all, to protect law and order and public safety. So it's an honor to be with you this morning. Go hug your kids at home tonight. Hold them close. There's a lot of evil in this world. We need prayer more than anything. And just rest assured, your law enforcement officials here in Florida, we're going to keep doing the job. And it's not rocket science. We've got the lowest crime rates ever before in Florida history, and that goes with we've increased prosecutions and convictions by more than 50%. Our total case count now is over 75% more than it was when I took office, and it'll probably be double by the end of this year. More bad guys going away than ever before. That makes our state safer. So thank you, and I will turn it over to Special Agent in Charge, Eli Lawson.
Thanks, sir. Yeah. Good morning. My name is Eli Lawson. I'm the Special Agent in Charge with FDLE Fort Myers Region. Again, I want to thank AG Uthmeier, Sheriff Marcino, for your hospitality here today and inviting me to be with you today. These are tremendous partners. You've heard from both of them, men that I know run organizations that are truly committed to keeping children safe. The timeliness of the arrest that you heard AG Uthmeier discuss is key, because we're in a back-to-school posture right now. So now is the time that we're going to emphasize. You're going to hear us say it over and over, of how parents need to have the conversations to discuss internet safety with your children. You heard briefly on some cases that I'm going to discuss as well, the dangers that are posed online, and we have tools that I'm going to discuss as well to help educate your children. I want to say how committed FDLE is on behalf of Commissioner Glass. I'm happy to be here to discuss this, how hard our agents and our intelligence analysts work in partnership with the Office of Statewide Prosecution to hold individuals like this accountable for their crimes. Right now, as you know, kids are on their phones, they're on their computers, they're on all sorts of electronic devices all the time. And so now, practicing those online safe habits, it starts at home. So conversations we encourage parents to have to guard against this. And I'll give you a couple of examples why. You heard about Graham Freeman, a teacher here in Lee County, a person who is in a position of trust with children and engaged online with horrific images of child sexual abuse and sexual abuse of animals. He's now facing 10 counts, which is now upgraded to first-degree felonies, of possession of those images. That investigation is ongoing. Our agents diligently work through these cases. They use sophisticated tools to identify people who are online engaging in this sort of activity of trading images, photos, videos of child sexual abuse. We follow those investigations that then lead us to a place such as this, as Mr. Graham Freeman's home here in Lee County, where we executed a search warrant and recovered multiple electronic devices that we then forensically analyze, and in this case, recovered dozens of files of these child sexual abuse material. Similarly, Jordan Hall, you heard about him. He's a 41-year-old from a 34-year-old from Sarasota. Similar case, an individual online trading files of child sexual abuse material and animal abuse. Earlier in the year, we identified him in a very similar manner, using the same tools, trading files online, and he was responsible for over 120 files in a short few months period. Now, Matthew Peter was a little bit different. This was not trading in online material. He was actually engaged in solicitation. So our agents, acting in an undercover capacity, chatted online with Mr. Peter. He's from Zephyr Hills, but he was soliciting to try to engage in sexual activity with what he thought was a 13-year-old female. Turned out it was one of our special agents. Thank goodness for that. It wasn't a real child at this time. That's not always the case. So again, emphasizing, please talk with your kids. You don't know who's on the other side of that keyboard. You don't know necessarily if they represent themselves to be someone, if they truly are that person. FDLE, to help, maintains the secureflorida.org website. This is a website that contains tools, videos, resources for parents to discuss how to stay safe online. We encourage parents, please use those tools. And finally, I want to conclude again. I want to thank our FDLE special agents, our criminal intelligence analysts, who work diligently, again, with Attorney General Uthmeier's Office of Statewide Prosecution, state attorneys around the state, to hold men like this accountable for these horrific crimes and to stop child predators in their tracks. We all here together work on a daily basis in partnership to keep our community safe, our children safe, and we pledge to continue to do so. So thank you again for having me today. I'll now, introduce Dr. Carlin for a few words.
Thank you, Special Agent in Charge Eli Lawson, and good morning, everybody. First of all, I want to start out by thanking our Attorney General, James Uthmeier, for his unwavering leadership and your tireless pursuit of justice on behalf of Florida's families. Thank you very much. I'm also grateful to our outstanding Lee County Sheriff, Marcino, and all of his deputies, local police departments, and to the state and federal agencies who work every single day to protect our children. The message you're hearing this morning is unmistakable. If you harm or exploit a child in this state, there is nowhere to hide. You will face the full, unyielding weight of the law. As superintendent of the school district of Lee County, as an educator, and as a mom, the safety of our students is non-negotiable. Parents entrust their most precious asset, their children, to us each and every day. That trust that a parent places in us is the single greatest responsibility that we carry. Students cannot learn if they are not saved. The trust demands vigilance, and it demands zero tolerance. This is not a slogan, but it's our practice. The moment law enforcement notified us of a teacher's arrest last week, we acted immediately. He was removed from the classroom, barred from every single district property within hours. And we notified him actually when he was in custody that I, as the superintendent, was recommending his termination. Let me be clear, there is no place in Lee County schools, none, for anybody who preys upon our children or possesses illegal abuse materials. We will not wait for a criminal trial to protect our classrooms and our children. We will not slow walk removal due to red tape or excuses. The moment a threat to a child is credible, that person is gone from our schools, full stop. Predators are going to find no harbor in Lee County Public Schools. Protecting our children isn't just a talking point, it is the job. It takes educators, parents, law enforcement, state leadership acting in lockstep, and we are, without hesitation. We stand with our Attorney General today to tell every family in Lee County and across the state of Florida that we are vigilant, we are proactive, and we will do everything possible to protect our students. And to every single parent listening, if you see something, please say something. Report it to your school, report it to law enforcement. Don't wait, and don't assume that somebody else will report that. Thank you again to our outstanding Attorney General, Uthmeier, and thank you to every officer and every agent standing with us today. It's my pleasure to turn it back to our sheriff for the closing.
Thank you, Dr. Cole. Thank you. Folks, we deliver a lot of messages, and today is a very significant day and a notable day. But I want to talk about the team, what you see in front of you. Governor DeSantis from day one has been a champion for law enforcement and supporting law enforcement, and that's why Florida leads the way. I'm convinced We have the greatest Attorney General in the country with James Uthmeier. He's made it clear the cases have more than 75% more, and we're going after every single person. Commissioner Mark Glass, FDLE, Special Agent in Charge Eli Lawson, and your team, you're second to none in what you do and your mission across the state. I'm so proud to work with you. And, of course, Dr. Carlin, who from day one we've been in sync partnership about safety in schools. A child deserves to be protected and to grow up without being exploited by any adult who chooses to prey upon them. And that's why this work matters. Today you've heard about the arrests, you've heard about the investigations, you've heard about the technology and the partnerships, but I want people to remember this. This isn't about numbers. This isn't about protecting children. Every arrest represents one more predator who no longer is out there looking for a victim. Every investigation represents another opportunity to identify someone who may be hurting children. And every partnership makes us stronger. Again, I can't thank the Attorney General enough, James Uthmeier, on his mission, FDLE, our law enforcement partners, our amazing great state attorney, Amira Fox, who wasn't here today, had a previous obviously obligation, but she and her team have done amazing, amazing things. And every person that had a role in these operations. This is what happens when good people come together with one mission: protecting the innocent and holding criminals accountable. To the parents watching today, I want you to know that we are working every single day to stay ahead of this threat. Talk to your children. Know what they're doing online. Know who they're talking to. If something doesn't look right, trust your instincts and report it. You may be the person who prevents the next child from becoming a victim. And finally, to anyone that believes they can exploit a child and get away with it, we are absolutely, with certainty, coming for you. There is no one above the law, absolutely no one. And when it comes to protecting our children, we will continue to be proactive and make certain that they are safe no matter what. We will continue to use the best technology available and build partnerships and continue to do what we took an oath to do: protect our community, protect our children, and make sure every child in this state has an opportunity to grow up safe. And thank you for being here today and getting our message out there. And again, this team is unstoppable, and it's not because of the words I say. Statistical data proves what we're doing works, and those numbers have gone up, and that's sad, but simultaneously those numbers going up means we're saving children, we're protecting children, and we're putting those bad, evil criminals behind bars. We'll take some questions.
First question for you, Damien with Wink News. How do you guys, or can you talk about the complexity of transient sex offenders and keeping track of them, but also making sure that they are registering wherever they go within Florida?
100%. Attorney?
Yeah. Well, look, we've got pretty strict laws on registration and where people violate, where they move, and they're not properly registering. We're locking them back up again. And that goes for people out of state. There was an individual in Kentucky who brutally stabbed and killed a 6-year-old in the head. We were able to track and found he'd moved down to Central Florida, literally lived right across the street from a school, didn't register, technicality, but gave us an excuse to go lock him up and send him back in for a parole violation. So we work very, very hard with our law enforcement partners and our parole board where needed for things like that. When it comes to kind of tracking mobility, I won't reveal all of our technologies and the specialists here, but we monitor people for a while. If we see a risk, we conduct a risk assessment. We'll engage in multiple communications. A lot of things will flag and exchange on a two-way communication device where we can see data files being shared, and when we then exercise a warrant, we get the goods in the house more often than not. So I think that answered the question, right? Yeah. Yes.
Hi, Madison with Gulf Coast News. This is more for the Lee County School District. I was just wondering, going off of that question, what further background checks, if anything, are we going to be using to make sure that no other child predators will be entering schools?
Sure. Well, I'll let her add, but I'll say, look, if somebody's a registered sex offender, they're not hiring them to be a teacher. They did not do anything wrong here. They didn't know what they didn't know, and then once they knew it, I mean, they sprung into action so fast. It really is a role model for the rest of the state. So if you want to add something else, but I know they're doing their own risk assessments.
Yeah, that's pretty much what I was going to say. So thank you for saying it, Attorney General. Basically we fingerprint, we run all the clearinghouses, we do everything we can do to make sure that, like I said, I'm a mom as well, so I want all of our children to be treated like my children, and we do the most extensive background checks we can possibly do. So thank you.
Yes, hi.
Let me add one more thing, and then I'll come to you. I do think it's important, again, for parents to realize, I hate to say it in this world, but you can't really trust fully anybody you don't know. If it is somebody and you don't have a personal relationship with them, I would be very concerned if they're alone with my kids. Now, teachers are in a sacred place. I mean, they're literally, bringing up our next generation and educating them. So we're going to do everything we can to detect these things. That's where the see something, say something is not just a line, like it's real. So at the appropriate age, parents need to be talking to kids about the risks that are out there. If somebody says something or touches you, communicate with parents. Have those discussions. Don't ignore it and think, just because the kid's with the baseball coach, on a road trip going to a game, that, there's not a risk out there. We hate it, but we have been arresting coaches, church youth group leaders. Up in Polk County, we got a town Santa Claus who for years, had kids sitting on his lap. The reality is it could be any stranger, and you need to be the first line of defense. So, sorry about that. Go ahead.
No worries. So I see the sign here that refers to 2,000 child predator arrests. Could you please provide some context on that number?
Yeah, we've hit the threshold of 2,000 child predator arrests, just that my office has been involved in. So I should be clear there. This is not the total for the last year and a half. It's certainly a big record for our Office of Statewide Prosecution and our work with our law enforcement partners in the AG's office. But there are undoubtedly other abuse and CSAM cases that the local state attorney's offices have worked on that haven't involved ours. They haven't needed our help. But they know that we are here to help. We're, advancing in our sophistication and technology. We want to come in and help take down as many of these guys as possible. Our statewide office also has jurisdiction to handle crimes that cross over circuit lines. When you're dealing with a lot of communications on the internet, that's typically going to trigger our jurisdiction where we can come in and bring a little bit more, top-level support and expertise.
How you say 2,000 now in your office, how does that number compare with, say, last year or, say, 5 years ago?
Yeah, as we were talking before, I sometimes, there's human trafficking cases, there's CSAM cases. We view a child pornography case as absolutely a child predator, to be clear, as I've made clear. Our total case count in our office is up about 75%. I know as far as our child protection and human trafficking convictions, we're up 50% total in just a little bit over a year since we made this a new initiative. When it comes to sentences we're handing out, as I mentioned at the beginning, the punishments, the terms of service behind bars is up over 4 times just since I've been Attorney General. People ask, do you think there's more predators now than there used to be, or do you think you just have, more resources to go find them? I think the answer is a little bit of both. I think the prevalence of the internet and it being at the fingertips has given a lot of sick people more addictions, and thus it's a slippery slope down into more deviancies. I also think that the internet has given our law enforcement officers, who do a fantastic job, more ability to go and spot people that wouldn't be detected otherwise. So I think it's a little bit of both. We need prayer in this world. There's some evil that's always going to be there. We'll do our best to get everybody. We're not going to stop until we've gotten everybody. But the reality is this challenge will always be here.
Just my final question. How do you guys, when we talk to families, they always want to know when they hear about a teacher, did anything happen in the classroom? How do you guys ensure in that investigation that no children in the classroom are involved outside of just parents asking those hard questions when they hear about the story?
Sure. What I'll say is all these cases, we see elements of a crime, so we're going to prosecute it. Agnieszka is going to tie them up. But we're not done investigating. We're going to continue to look through desks, drawers, devices. We will follow any leads. If there's parents that have something to report, we will most certainly talk to them and figure out how broad it might go. Yesterday we took down this guy that had been soliciting young women, children to dance at strip clubs, making fake IDs for them. He would then force these teenagers into sex acts for money. He would force them to do online sexual pornography, and we've been able to rescue 5 victims, but that investigation's ongoing. We already have leads that are going to take us to many other individuals. So this is what we can announce today. We announced it to put the public on notice that there are dangers out there. We put criminals on notice. You're an idiot if you want to come to Southwest Florida and try to do some of these things to our most vulnerable people here in society, but the investigation will continue. Anybody else? All right, everybody. Thank you. Have a good one. Be safe.
Thank you for the work that you do.
I'm happy to do
Parents
that.
and